You're listening to the Sanditon Chronicles, where we talk all things Sanditon and Sanditon adjacent. Come along with us as we dissect all of your favorite characters, scenes, and dialogue. We have so much to tell you. Hi guys, welcome back to the Sanditon Chronicles. We are back this week. I'm your host, Maureen.
And I'm Janice.
And we are so glad to be back here. I don't know if you guys know this, but Janice and I met through the Sanditon community. We met. We haven't met in person yet, but that's how we know each other, Sanditon. She was one of the people who, when I said, hey, do you want to be on our podcast? And she was one of the people who came on, and now I don't do the podcast without her. So we became very good friends. So it's been hard for us too to not be recording, but we are finally back. We're going to give a little brief recap of season 2. Very, very brief, because if you go back on our channel, we have recapped every episode from season 1 and every episode from season 2. And then we did deep dives into relationships and deep dives into characters for both seasons. So we have a very extensive playlist if you want recaps before March 19th. So you can check those out. But let's do a quick recap of near the end of season 2. So Charlotte is engaged to Ralph.
Right, which is the big news we hear really at the very end.
Yes.
Because she's at her sister's wedding.
Yes, to Fraser.
And they're in Willington, and Mary and Tom and Georgiana are all there.
And Arthur.
And Arthur, right, exactly. We couldn't leave out Arthur. And they're all there, and her new fiance walks up and says, so nice to meet all of you. Charlotte's told me so much about you, and I know you heard our happy news. And they had heard nothing until Charlotte says, we're did she say we're engaged to be married, or we're to be married, or
I don't remember which verbiage she used, but to be married was in there somewhere. None of them look very happy for her.
No, I think they're in shock because they know that's not where her heart lies.
Certainly Mary and Georgiana. And you have to wonder too, I'm kind of sad because I don't think Allison and Fraser are going to be in season 3. Of course,
I don't think so either, because at least none of the previews show them at all.
No, I mean, they were on some of the promo stuff. There was this video that I took great enjoyment out of, and I was surprised by it because no one gave the appropriate answer for who they wanted to kill, but it was court, marry, or kill. And Allison, Rosie was on there. And I believe
and so was the guy who played Carter. Yeah.
But then there was also Ralph was on there, and some of the newer characters were on there as well. So they're on some, but then Lennox was also on there, and we know Lennox isn't coming back. At least we theorize he's not coming back. So I don't think they're coming back, which is kind of a bummer because I'd like to see Allison's reaction to being engaged to Ralph.
Yeah.
He knows Charlotte doesn't want to marry him.
Yeah.
But so does Georgiana.
I mean, it may be that they'll have some correspondence, you know what I mean?
I hope so.
But I was hoping they'd be there too. So it's not impossible, and that was shot really at the end of the season 2 filming, that particular video you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the other thing that happens is that we find out Lockhart is Georgiana's cousin, right? He's fighting for her fortune because his dad was her dad's brother, I thought.
Yeah, that's right. They're related.
So he tried to manipulate Georgiana to marry him so he could have access to her fortune. He did not outright say that. He says he loved her, but I think he didn't, and it was for her fortune. We find out her mother is still alive, so I think those two things are going to play heavily into season 3.
Yes,
Arthur starts to come into his own, and Tom starts to realize that Arthur is a man of substance, and I think that is going to play into season 3, especially with the
these episode guides make you I think I don't know, they say some things you're like, what?
I know.
So which I'm sure is exactly what they intend for you to be.
Absolutely, because we were talking beforehand how I was trying to scope out IMDb to see if we can get a cast list of current, and there isn't any. on IMDb to
No.
see who's currently in the cast. Even Liam Garrigan, who we know is playing Colburn's younger brother, it's not even on his personal page that he's in Sanditon, even though we can see from the previews and the trailers that he is clearly in it. So they haven't updated any of that.
And there was an announcement to that effect, but so and the other thing is, you just can't go by this because at least not until probably the season's over, and because I think it's open. I think it's like Wikipedia. People can put in updates in it, but they have Rose Williams and Crystal Clark listed through 2023, but not Kate Ashfield or Annie Reed or Chris Marshall. All the people that we know are in season 3. By the way, Chris Marshall has a new series out.
Oh.
Called it's Death in Paradise, that series. It's sort of a spin-off of it, but it takes place in Devon in England. They've just had 2 episodes out, I think, so far, and he plays that same character that he played in Death in Paradise, where he's a policeman. But it's really fun and funny, and he's investigating a murder, but he's sort of bumbling. I never got to see him in Death in Paradise because
me either.
I don't know which episodes he was in, which seasons I should say, but I know he's there for 4 seasons, so he has sort of his own series.
Where can you watch this new one?
It's on BritBox.
BritBox, okay. I need to get that because I love British television.
All you have to do, me too. All you have to do is, and it costs like $5 a month or something like that. And it's if you have, you have Amazon Prime, I'm assuming, and you can just add it through there.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that'll be easy. I can do that for sure. I did see there was one I just watched with I always want to call her Charlotte Williams now because it just things get with what's going on with my health. I forget things and then I can't remember things and like my brain receives weird messages. So she is Charlotte Williams in my head every single time I try to say her name. Rose Williams. I watched her in Somebody Goes to Paris.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
It's so good.
Mrs. Somebody
Harris. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
That is Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
It's so good.
And the lead actress in that was just in a series on PBS.
Yep,
Magpie
I saw that.
Murders. Yeah, that was a good series.
I just found that out today.
Where did you see the Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris?
Hulu, I think.
Hulu, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu. And Rose Williams plays this spoiled, selfish brat sort of character, but you're so endeared to her.
Right.
So,
well, her character in Rain was like that for a good part of the time she was on it.
I actually really liked her character in Rain. She was one of my favorite characters.
Really? It got better.
Yes,
she did. Time went along.
My only problem with Rain was the glaring historical inaccuracies.
Oh yeah.
Those were my issues with Rain. Like but if I had to, after like it was like 2 seasons and I was talking to someone who was like, this is not how it happened. They're like, listen, you just need to take history out of it and watch it as its own show. And once I started doing that, I actually started to enjoy it more.
And you need to tell people, do not think it's history. Please don't think it's history.
Otherwise, Francis would not have been as he was at all.
So one of the best things about that series, they had incredible costuming. But they did not have Sammy Murray doing the dancing.
That's true.
At all. Or I'm really looking forward to her stuff in this.
So watch Miss Harris Go to Paris. I think you'll really like it. It's a really cute show, and it's like I really, really enjoyed it a lot.
Great. I've been wanting to watch it. I'll look on Hulu.
Yes, I'll let you know if it's not there because it might be on Peacock. It's Hulu or Peacock. But
back to Hulu or Peacock, is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's Hulu, but it's one of those two.
I'll find it.
The other thing that is of import that we find out season 2 near the end was Edward and the Clara Esther situation. Esther was obviously, they found out because Clara confessed it all before everybody, for Minister and Lady Denham, that Edward and her, she took credit for it, even though she wasn't poisoning him, Esther, but she let it all out. Edward's poisoning them. So Edward was stripped of his rank. And this is the part I'm a little frustrated about when I've seen previews for season 3 is Lady Denham promised to make his life miserable. Why is he dressed nice and going on a hunting party in the trailer? He should be in the kitchens with an apron on. Why are you letting him out in good society?
Yeah. It seems like from what we're seeing, she's forgotten about that part. Or she's letting him get away with stuff. And worse than that, the preview where he obviously is showing lots of affection for Augusta.
Yes.
Which I find really frustrating. and so I'm sure part of the story is he's going to be found out, and it's going to all come out that he took advantage of her, and all that kind of stuff. Well, hopefully not in an irreversible way, but
I don't think so. I don't think they would, because I would say yes, maybe if there was going to be a season 4, but I think since it's ending season 3, they're not gonna do that to us, because that would just be mean. And I think that the writers of Sanditon are in a unique position where they understand what we want as a unified audience, but they also understand that we have been hurt by where things were left in the past when it looked like there was no hope for a future. And I don't think they will do that again.
No, I don't think so either, especially Justin would.
And so Clara also gives her baby to Esther and Babington, essentially. So Esther is not coming back, but she had her happy ending at the end of last season, where she and Babington now had this baby to raise. I still maintain that that's scary to give Edward that kind of power.
And I don't think we'll see any more of Clara either.
No, I think she's all done too. And then we see the town sort of start to be solvent with the military paying their debts and leaving.
Right. And it was very satisfying
Mm-hmm.
to see Tom finally stand up.
Yes.
To Lennox and him and Arthur and win 21.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to note he wouldn't have been able to do that without Arthur.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. No, he would not have. And he started realizing how much he needed Arthur, which is really good. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes in season 3.
Yes.
But yeah, those were important events, and the military leaves.
And I think those were maybe, and the Colburns leave. They,
yes.
I don't know. I want to call him Ben. Man, I'm so mixed up. Alexander.
Right. After he tries to fire Charlotte without firing her, trying to claim it's a natural end. She's not buying it or taking it. It was like emotional whiplash right then. And he decides to leave town, basically. And she leaves town in another direction. So there's this, and at least the only really, where it's the 2 happy endings we have was that Esther got the baby and
Allison and Fraser.
Thank you, Allison and Fraser. I was thinking of Rose, and anyway,
it's hard.
It is. Allison and Fraser got married. So, and then we had the shock about Charlotte being engaged.
Yes. And
to Ralph.
We think that Colburn was, when he returned to Trafalgar House, I don't think he was going to propose necessarily, although there's a chance he might have been there to propose, but he was there to ask her to come back to him and to his girls. And Charlotte said no to him. And then he left.
Yeah.
And where we left off was we were trying to theorize where he went. And I think we all theorized correctly that he was going to London. We see.
No. Now from one of those interviews, Charlotte says when she returns to Sanditon, one of the reasons she's surprised
Is
in
in
season
Bath.
3, that is because she expected that he was still in Bath.
I forgot
Which
about
is
that, but I
strange.
thought that he
I
ran
mean,
into Sam in London.
we don't know. We don't know where he ran into Sam.
Hmm.
We don't know. But at least some of his time must have been, it sounds like must have been spent in Bath. But if you look, so this fictional Sanditon, no matter where it's filmed,
Mm-hmm.
is on the south shore of England, and Bath is not. It's further north. It's north of London. So
Okay.
anyway,
When in Regency times, when would people go to Bath? They would go there in the off season, right? Because London is where you went during the season, correct? Or was it that I'm trying to remember what the custom was?
well, I'm sure they went there in good weather.
Yeah. So maybe people who I don't know. I don't remember.
I
I'm
don't
trying to
know.
remember what Jane, because every documentary I watched of Jane Austen's, this was discussed in there, and I'm trying to remember. There was someone who had written us about some English customs that we were seeing, that we were trying to interpret through American eyes. But I think we're on board with most of what she's saying. Like we were looking at the way she was saying. But I can't, there is a custom of, there was a time when they go to Bath, but if you wanted to experience a season, you experienced a season in London, because that's when everyone would converge and have the balls where you could meet eligible
Right.
bachelors. And
Right.
so, and when they come,
when young ladies came out.
yes, and when
did.
they come back, Augusta is a little more ladylike and refined than when they left.
And definitely looks more mature.
That was the other reason I thought maybe they went to London, but I forgot that there was an interview where Rose said that she thought he was in Bath. I totally forgot that. I thought I remembered the trailer where we see Sam and Alexander meeting. I thought there was a voiceover saying he runs into Sam in London. He hasn't talked to his brother in 10 years. So that's where I'm pulling that from. Maybe I'm remembering.
I don't think we know where that took place.
No, they probably didn't say that. Again, my memory is this is a problem, guys. Janice and I are gonna have to like record the recaps the day after it comes out. So I'm probably gonna.
It's understandable.
Are you looking it up?
Understandable given all the chemicals they put through your
True.
body.
That I'm still putting through my body.
I was just looking, and so the beach where Sanditon is supposed to be, we don't know exactly, but it's somewhere in the south, on the south coast.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they say. Brighton is down on the south coast, almost directly south of London. Bath is close to Bristol, where the show is actually filmed, where Sanditon was filmed, but not where it took place. So it's hard to know.
Yeah. It will be revealed.
Yes.
So let's dig into what we've seen on the trailers and the pictures. Now, I was all excited because I thought I was right about the London thing, but now I'm second guessing that. However, I did get it right that it was Ralph going into that ball with Charlotte that we saw in that photo that was circulated.
Yep.
That was confirmed.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, now they show it to us from the other side.
Mm-hmm. They show it too, kind of like a 360, don't they? Where they see him from the back and then we turn around and face him in the front.
I don't know if they showed it all the way around, but yeah.
I watched the trailer like 7 times today. So
right. I was watching it on my TV on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
You can get them on YouTube. So then it's full size, it's big. Yeah. But it doesn't stop and start. If you want to stop it, it doesn't work as well as it does on the computer.
Mm-hmm. Which is what I kept doing. I was very close to my monitor and I would pause and examine the scene and see what I need to see. Because I feel like in season 2, they would tell us that they gave us some hints. So we had to be very sleuth-like and try to find every hint in every scene that they released, because it was strategically released, I feel like.
I was reading an article that was actually from season 1, from the set designer that talked about all the Easter eggs they put in season 1. And I know they talked a lot about it in season 2, but he put 35 Easter eggs in season 1. Jane Austen stuff, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. And he said they had some people from the Jane Austen Society that came to the set, and he thought he was being subtle with some stuff in the background and stuff, you know, and they like caught them all. He's like, well, so much for my subtlety, you know. And they had one of the things they had on the set in the background, they were loaned a second edition of Pride and Prejudice, which is pretty amazing.
Where was that?
I don't know where it was, but now I have to go back and watch season one
Yes.
and look for all that. You know, we were kind of aware of stuff in season two, but I guess I didn't look at it that way in season one. But it's an article on Masterpiece's website about from that guy, the guy who did that, which is amazing. So when they said on the recap, the little write up they have, so it says, meanwhile, Georgiana receives a shocking threat to her fortune, which of course has got to be Lockhart, right? I'm sure it's Lockhart.
I don't know. It could be, but she made mention in one of the trailers that because she just comes into her fortune, she has access to it now. She receives her inheritance. It's fully hers, that she says she has to safeguard it and protect it, or she loses her independence. So it might not just be from Lockhart, it might just be from something else that's nefarious too. Because I thought Lockhart said he wouldn't be returning. I know that they said that they asked him to come back for a couple scenes to film for season 3, but I don't think he's there long.
I am positive he was back to film in season 3, because I remember seeing the post on Twitter when they were filming.
I thought it was you who told me they asked him to come back for a couple of scenes.
No, I don't know how much time they had him come back for. He had left, and they decided to have him come back. And so maybe he's not in very many scenes, but I'm sure he was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he will be appearing in season 3, but I don't think it's for much of it. So I don't know that it sounds like, if we're reading the synopsis from every episode, it sounds like it carries through the whole season, this issue, whatever it is with her money.
Well, it might be different issues, but I think maybe he's just there when they go to court, you know?
Yeah.
Because they do show a court scene.
Mm-hmm.
They don't show him yet, because I think that's supposed to be somewhat of a surprise.
Yeah.
But so it'll be interesting to see what all's involved with that. But and then it says Edward tries to prove to Lady Denham that he is a changed man. He is not a changed man.
No.
I wish he was, because I love the actor, but
there's no way. There's no coming back for him.
Yeah, he did something that was so unredeemable, it seems like.
And he wasn't even sorry. Like, that's a psychopath. There's no they didn't have mental health people back then to prescribe medications. There's no help for him. There's no
he wasn't sorry. He just, it's like people who get caught. They're sorry they got caught.
Yes.
That was all.
He didn't even really seem that sorry that he was caught either. It felt like this is just okay, I just need to reset. This will be time
because originally he's like, he'd rather go be in the military, until, of course, she smartly had written Lennox and told him the truth, and he kicked him out.
Yes. And there was 2 in the trailers that they produced. There was one scene where they show Edward standing there, and he's beautiful because he's Jack Fox, which is so irritating. But if it was just Jack Fox, it'd be fine. But Jack Fox's Edward is irritating because you don't want to like him, because he's a horrible, horrible, horrible human being. But he's up tall, he's dressed nicely, which I was really looking forward to Lady Denham following through on her threat to make it worse than debtor's prison. I wanted to see him get some sort of accountability for his actions, and it doesn't look like he's getting it. But he looks over at what I assume is Augusta, and she's walking with him, and he has that smirk that he gets.
It is Augusta.
It's that
It
smirk that
is
he's gotten in all
Augusta.
the seasons so far when he's just finally when he's just completed a phase of his plan, he gets this little smirk on his face. And that's the smirk he had in this trailer. So he obviously is the same Edward he's ever been.
So my thinking was, why is Edward interested in Augusta? And then it occurs to me that she may also be an heiress from her parents' money that I'm sure Colburn has been safeguarding. And now she's going to come of age and he is courting her for her money.
And I think that Colburn has a fair amount of money that he would also settle on Augusta as well, most likely.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm sure she has her own money because both of her parents died.
Yep. And did they say in season 2 that Lucy, that they got married because she had money? They didn't say that, did they? We're just left to kind of assume that he made a good match.
Yeah, I think he had the money in that marriage. I don't, but because Augusta would inherit both her father and her mother's money.
Yeah. And her mom, she talked about how her mom was always at a ball with the pearls. So that they weren't broke.
Yeah, they had money and yeah. Anyway.
I think that's exactly what he's putting. And she's young. She's newly out in society. She's moldable and she's naive.
Right. So he's treating her the way he treated Esther. Only this time there's no sister thing to limit it.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
That note that she found with the flower has to be from him in the rock.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's I'm a little nervous because if they already have a hiding place for communication, I'm a little nervous about how far he's going to push this plan. And then when we see her hugging Leonora and crying in the trailer, my theory is that that's taking place later on in season 3 after she's been I would like to believe it's when she finds out who Edward really is.
Right.
Or it's from when he's been separated from her. She still believes he's good. But I would like to believe it's she found out who he really is.
And yeah, and I mean, sorry, even though Augusta is not worldly, she's not stupid by any means. And she hasn't been manipulated her whole life like Esther was. Esther was intelligent, but she was totally dependent on Edward, whereas Augusta isn't dependent on that him. And you in the voiceover you hear Rose's voice, Charlotte's voice, saying that
you can't help who you fall in love with.
Yeah, and also just about, I can't remember the exact line, but it's like even though it may not be true love, that doesn't mean she doesn't feel it any less.
Yeah.
And so obviously they in one of the episodes for this season that they've talked about, they talk about Charlotte and Colburn Alexander coming together on Augusta's behalf. So I'm sure this is what it is, to protect her from Edward.
Even though I don't think even Charlotte realizes the depth of who Edward is yet. Like I wish she knew more.
From the first of season 1, her first exposure to him, she knew, she suspected from the beginning what kind of person he was. He's a flatterer. He's, and then
Lady he made Denham her uncomfortable.
And Lady Denham kind of warns her about him, maybe from a slightly different angle. But wait a minute. The other thing is, she knows because of something weird that happened. She observes in season 1 on the grounds with Clara.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Both of them talked to her about it.
Yeah. And then at the end of the ball, when he freaked out on Esther in season 1. I mean,
right. That's and right. He is the cause of Sydney never
Ooh,
finishing his
hmm,
his proposal,
that's right.
and then the fire hits, and the this and that.
Oh, I love that we can hold Edward personally responsible for that. I love it.
Yeah.
So if you are an Edward fan, just remember that he's the reason Sydney didn't propose to Charlotte. Just remember that. That's all you need to remember, and you will hate him forever.
So there's no way Charlotte doesn't have a clue what
Yeah.
a despicable character.
I think
She didn't get exposed to it very much in season 2, but
that's
she
what it
had
is.
plenty of exposure in season 1.
I just need to go. I just need to binge both seasons back to back because I haven't. I mean, when season 2 ended, I went right into a whole lot of cancer treatments and recovery. So I haven't like watched
Right.
them together.
They're kind of not connected right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even think she has any interaction with Esther in season 2, really. Other than that one time in the gazebo when Allison is there and asks Esther how to find a husband. She doesn't have much interaction with her.
No, she sees her at the garden party, and she observed her at the ball, but not the two of them just talking like they had more in season 1.
Exactly.
Yeah, those parties were kind of separated in season 2.
Yeah. And I think that because Charlotte's not stupid either, she'll be on the lookout for that. And I think that just hearing that Augusta might feel things for him, and there's hope that Augusta is still feeling that closeness to Charlotte, that she'll confide in Charlotte a little bit about her feelings with Edward. And I think the difference with Augusta, she's not stupid in any way, but she is also desperate to have somebody love her completely.
And give her attention.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think that's something Edward is very good at, making someone feel.
Right.
And I mean, he could turn it off in a pinch like he did with Clara, but Clara was worth nothing. So he didn't have to pretend with her. But with Augusta, he can very easily make her pretend that she is the center of his world. And Augusta, I can see Augusta even fighting that at first, but very quickly giving into it because she's desperately craving that. Even if Colburn is different and better now and he's paying her more attention, she still had all those years where she got nothing.
And very common in a teenage girl.
Absolutely. Especially in that time period when the goal was you meet a husband. And, Edward, we talked about this. So Colburn includes him in this hunting party, and he's dressed nicely. He's dressed sharply. He doesn't look like he's penniless. And he's living in Lady Denham's house. So he could certainly make the case to Augusta, well, no, you don't need, I have all this money coming from my aunt. I am her heir. I am, whatever. Right. So Augusta won't be stupid. I think those are questions she'll ask, but he'll have a ready response for them.
And no matter what his character is, he has a title.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lord.
Yep.
So it's I don't know, maybe because, well, so season 2 says, episode 2, says, Georgiana faces a nearly impossible task in trying to find a lawyer. Well, we know that's going to be Sam, Alexander's brother, but help arrives from a surprising place. Lady Denham accepts a new vision for the town and spars with an old flame. Well, we know that's Rowley.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited for that.
So I'm thinking that she gets so distracted with Rowley, she kind of loses.
That's true.
Track of Edward.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And then it says Arthur makes a new friend. Well, who is this new friend?
Now, there have been hints at Arthur's sexuality throughout.
I can't imagine them doing this and making it obvious in a Jane Austen.
No, but here's the thing, though. It's no longer Jane Austen, and I think a lot of these productions are taking it to that length just to be like, look at what we did. I hope they don't do that because I want it to be accurate to the times. I want it to still be accurate to how things would have been, and they have been so good and meticulous about doing that in every aspect, including with Georgiana, including with the sugar trade, including all that stuff. So I don't think they will, but I think it might. I felt like there was some hints in the trailers that they put out that there was some secret, and I don't even know if it's his sexuality, if it's that way, or if it's maybe a woman or a job opportunity or something. But he says,
or well, it could be somebody who he just put his faith in to help with something in the town and then got disappointed.
It could be.
I mean, we really don't know.
But
I
Turlough
just,
said that Arthur finally feels like he can be himself for the first time ever, is what Turlough said when he was interviewed.
right.
So
Yeah, that's what it said. But what that means is
we don't know.
really open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I mean, even if he had a friendship, I still don't think it's going to be as blatantly obvious as modern
No,
movies would.
I don't think it would. I mean, there's a reason why they've just been hinting at it in the background this whole time, because that's what would have been done then.
And also, you were talking about Augusta wanting that love and attention. Well, that's exactly where Arthur is. He looks for love and attention. Now, we are happy about the fact that he has a great relationship with Georgiana. They have
Yep.
a great friendship and a lot in common, and they really see each other. But he's not going to marry her,
No.
no matter how much she says, I want you to marry me. So I don't have to deal with this anymore. So I don't know. It's another mystery for us to, that's why we want to see the season to see what happens.
Exactly. And I mean, it could be just a friendship with something, like, because that's kind of what happened with him and Lockhart. Lockhart
Right.
hit him with the flattery right off the bat. And Lockhart found where his weakness was, and Lockhart played into that. And Arthur was happier in season 2 than we've seen him. And part of that was due to his friendship or relationship with Lockhart. So it could be something similar to that too. But I feel like they were just dropping hints of a new relationship of some kind, whether it be friendship or romantic, on either side of the aisle. I feel like they were hinting at that in the trailers.
And is this all about him getting that theater built?
Mm-hmm. Could be.
It could be something like that. It's interesting that he was so good about recognizing Linux and poor about recognizing Lockhart and who they really were.
But that's because Lennox he didn't need to put on any airs for Arthur.
And
he felt he was superior to Arthur.
And Lockhart knew what he was doing.
And Lockhart needed Arthur.
And he could see that Georgiana respected Arthur,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was his end to get to Georgiana.
Yep. Exactly.
Anyway, so I'm going to read what it says about episode 3. It says Georgiana gets a surprise visit. So I don't know, maybe it's something about her mother, or maybe it's Otis showing up.
No, let's pause here for a second, because we want to talk about that a little bit, because there were 2 things we brought up earlier. And that was, one, the letter that she throws in the fireplace says "Love O," and obviously Otis Molyneux, his name starts with an O, and he never signed Mr. Molyneux. He signed his letters.
I think he
Otis.
signed O. Yeah.
So that could be from him. And we see now, this could be Mrs. Wheatley grabbing the letter. It could be Georgiana's hand grabbing this letter. But it looked like a man's hand had a letter in his hand. It was a black man's hand with a letter in his hand, and I thought it was Georgiana had grabbed it just because of the way it was filmed. But again, it could have been Mrs. Wheatley grabbing the letter. I don't know for sure, but it looked like there was a man's hand who had it looked like a black cuff that was nice. It wasn't tattered, didn't look like a servant. So I mean, I think I'm wondering if Otis could be back again. He is not listed anywhere as returning, but so a lot of the cast aren't listed as returning. So
either he might return, or somebody could, well, let's face it, somebody could bring a note supposedly on Otis's behalf that isn't even from him.
Yeah.
When you think about what happened in London, and somebody took his mail and read it and found out when they were planning on coming, and abducted Georgiana.
Mm-hmm.
So it whether he actually shows up, a note that has his name on it is sent, or what, we don't know.
Yeah. And the other thing I was thinking too is that, because we know that finding her mom is going to we have to assume they wouldn't just give us that nugget and then pretend it doesn't exist in season 3. So her mom has to play in some way, shape, or form. Maybe if Otis maybe if Jada James isn't coming back, maybe he found he tried to redeem himself with her, and he met maybe he met Sydney in Antigua and he found out that her mom is alive and he found her mom. Something, anything is possible at this point, because we know that Georgiana is going to be faced with romantic relationship issues. We know that she's going to be faced with looking for her mom, and we know that she's going to have problems with her inheritance. Those are 3 problems that we are guaranteed to see from Georgiana in season 3.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And so the surprise could be either her mother or someone about her mother. That could definitely be it.
Yep.
So the next thing it says is Colburn's shooting party goes ahead. So that makes it sound like there was something that was holding it back, or something was happening that almost caused it to be canceled. He goes along ahead with the shooting party, and Charlotte has to confront all that she's lost. So what does that mean? I mean, we know what all she's lost, but what happened that brought that up? I mean, anyway. And then Mary and Tom cross swords over his plans for the old town. So do you think that Tom's like planning on tearing the old town down and Mary's fighting it? Or Mary just doesn't want him to go spending more money?
I think,
which could easily be the case.
Well, I read somewhere when I was reading about another synopsis of 3 that Rowley is coming to join the vision with Tom for an expansion of Sanditon.
Right.
So I think this is going to be Tom with Rowley being over extravagant again instead of finishing his, because Sanditon's thriving. Look at how great it is. We need to make it bigger. We need to make it better. And I feel like he's going to, I think he's going to go across into the other town and try to make it that much bigger and try to take it over and bring it part of Sanditon. And I think Mary will have issues with that. Is my prediction.
Right. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
I like hearing that.
Yeah, that goes back to, a lot of season 1 was about that. Not season 2 so much, Anyway. So I'm going to go on to what it says for episode 4. And it says Charlotte attempts to distance herself from Colburn, but as they are repeatedly thrown in each other's orbit, their chemistry rises.
No way.
No way what?
No way are they going to continue to make them come together and be in each other's orbit.
Yeah, no, just a little bit, huh? So this article I was telling you about, I just was pulling it up because the set designer who did season 1, this article is called Sanditon Set Secrets, Jane Austen Easter Eggs Revealed and More. And I haven't even read the whole thing, but there is a drawing that he did, of what Sanditon was supposed to look like. And it's pretty interesting to look at, how they set it up. Anyway, I just want you to know about that.
Will you send that to me, and then we'll link that article in the description of the podcast, because I'd like to see that too.
Sure, I'll find it and send it to you. I'll find the link. Okay, so she's trying to be away from him, but they keep running into each other. So when we have no idea what's going on with her relationship with Ralph at this point.
Yeah. Well, can you make out, there's that one scene that they show in the trailer, and they showed in a couple trailers, not from the same exact viewpoint, but it's the one where it looks like Charlotte and Colburn are in a hallway. And she's talking about how it's when she says you can't choose who you love or whatever. And he says, the one thing you've taught me, Charlotte, or Mrs. Oh my gosh, why can't I remember her last name?
Miss Haywood.
Jeez Louise. The one thing you taught me, Miss Haywood, is something along the lines of that a woman makes her own decisions or her own
has
fate.
The right to choose their own destiny.
And so where do you think they are in that moment? Because it's like a green hallway. It kind of looks like some places from Hayrick House.
I think it's like at one of the balls, maybe. Or it could be that she's found out what's going on with Augusta and Edward, and she's gone to talk to him about it. And that's when he says it. So it could be in Herrick Place. But I don't know. I don't know. They keep doing this to us. They take it all out of context because they don't want us to really know. But yeah. And but when I'm raising this question about Ralph, there's that scene where he says, "I'd rather live alone than live a lie," which is the lead into now I'm thinking he's the one who's going to call off the engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that's a good point because like they do try. I actually was wondering if maybe those two scenes didn't happen at the same time with Colburn and Charlotte, but everyone I watched shows them in the same colored hallway. So I think it was. And I turned on subtitles. I don't know, just because I wanted to see, because some of them were saying the name of the person speaking. And it didn't say the only one, it just said a man speaking was when we believe it's Ralph who says, "I'd rather live alone than a lie."
Yeah. Yeah.
Ralph
I think
speaking, it
that's,
said a man. So
yeah.
that was
I
curious.
think that is who said, I think
That's who I think it is
does
too.
say that. So I suspect that's how they're going to break up. But
And we did
yeah.
kind of theorize that because it would be Charlotte's reputation that's ruined if she broke it off.
Right. And so probably they're all happy until they go to Sanditon for Georgiana's birthday party, and she sees Colburn again, and he sees her around Colburn, around all these people. But we don't know. This is
Because
just a theory.
there are Lady Susan is back, and oh my God, she looks so beautiful. I love the clothes that we see her in the trailers.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously she's friends with
Sam.
Sam,
Mm-hmm.
because they race each other on the beach in carriages.
I mean, they could be friends from prior, or they could have just made friends in Sanditon as she's spending time with them too. Because I feel like that's, but
Possible,
I felt
but
like they came together to Sanditon.
they seem like they are well acquainted. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a new acquaintance.
Yeah. Because at first I was kind of thinking, oh, is there romance for Lady Susan there? Because it seemed like they have chemistry, but I mean, they're both great actors, so that could just be that too. But you see Lady Susan tell Charlotte that if that's who she wants, if that's who will make her happy, she needs to go for it. And then you see Sam tell Alexander, but she's not married yet.
Right.
So
And then
that there's help pushing them together.
right. And you also see, and obviously Lady Susan knows what happened with Sydney. And you also see um when they meet each other on the cliffs, I'm talking about Charlotte and Alexander.
Boy, was that a
And
callback to season 1.
yeah. And she says, it's too late. We don't know exactly what he says to her, but so yeah, I'm sure there will be some of this going on where she's really struggling with the commitment she's made, and and Mr. Wishy-Washy. You better be better this season. I will say
I think
that
he
I
was just
do feel
afraid.
like, one of the changes with Augusta is much like with Georgiana from first to second season for Georgiana, and from second to third season for Augusta, is that she's definitely matured.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think she's matured because Colburn spent more time pouring into her and Leo.
Right.
I
When
think
they
she's
went
matured.
away to
Yeah.
wherever they went away to.
And I don't think in those times it was kind of customary to, yes, the guardian, the man would take them out to the things, but a man back then wouldn't have known the right fabrics to buy, the right colors to buy, the right cut to do. So there was often a relative or a companion that would be for the woman who would help her to dress, who would help her to do these things. And that could be that was something that while she was away, she received help in that area too from another woman that helped build her up. And maybe even while they were where they were, Lady Susan had a hand in talking to her at the balls and things like that. So I think that had a lot to do with, I think that helped her mature. It's those two things that settled her and calmed her a bit.
And also just the mere fact that she and Alexander and Leo were all more of a family. You know, they weren't in this house that became a mausoleum. They were away together and reliant on each other. And he may not have, I mean, maybe there was some special woman involved, but it also could be that he just took her to a, I don't remember the right name, somewhere to have dresses made and was willing to pay for them for Augusta. And because Augusta probably at this point is acting more mature, I mean, less of being just hurt all the time, because he's finally seen she's finally seen Colburn come back to life. So the relationship is better. They're more of a family. There's less hurt. And so she's behaving in a better way. So he's more than willing to pay to have her have
For
new
sure.
clothes,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So then the next thing it says, and this is really like, what? Meanwhile, Georgiana is unraveling and makes a surprising decision to protect herself.
That one I can't figure out.
Unless that's where she throws a note in the fire, is during that episode 4.
Yeah, I think the only way to see her unravel is to bring Otis back into the picture.
Right.
That's the only thing because I mean, I don't think she would unravel at finding out something about her mom unless it's, hey, you just got this up with your mom. She's actually dead. Like that might cause her to unravel. But I think that would make it too easy to do it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's how she protect. I mean, how would you protect yourself from your mom being dead?
There's that one scene in one of the previews where she's going into a ball, or at least going out on the dance floor, one or the other, with that one of the new people that comes to town.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I forget his name, but that new family that comes. Yep. And the mother is determined to get her son married off, or son and daughter marry off. And they say in the trailer that they're leaving. They left London and came to Sanditon to get away from a scandal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that she kind of opened up to him and then found out what a scoundrel he was. Yep. We don't know.
It also said in the description for, like, when they were talking about his character returning, it said that he holds a secret. So I think there's something.
Which character?
Him, the new family. She's got the son and the daughter, and I'm trying to find what that article was. But it sounds like he too may be holding something in that even his mom is not aware of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So they've set up all kinds of scenarios, that's for sure.
I do think, though, I feel pretty strongly that what she's got to protect herself from is a romantic relationship. Just because I don't think there's another way where she would have to protect herself. And I think this might be the episode where we see her saying, I need to safeguard my inheritance, otherwise I lose my independence. I feel like that would be the same episode where we see her saying that. Yeah,
that's could be. So I'm going to go on to the write-up for season 5. It says Charlotte and Colburn rush to Augusta's aid, which we kind of talked about a little bit already.
Yep.
Tom secures a financial investment. That's Raleigh, I'm sure, but is delivered some devastating news. What does that mean? And while love blossoms elsewhere, Arthur's heart is broken.
That's why I was thinking the relational thing for Arthur.
I don't know. We're episode 5, a lot of things have happened in between that we don't know about.
Exactly.
It's hard. These later ones are, I mean, the Charlotte and Colburn, because we've seen that clip about Edward, we kind of know what that is.
Yeah, for sure.
And because Raleigh's there, we know he's making an investment. We know what that is. But we don't know what the devastating news is. And we don't know, while love blossoms elsewhere, Arthur's heart is broken. We don't know that. Yeah. It would be complete and utter speculation. We've had no real hints about that.
No.
In terms of what the cause is.
And I think it's hard to say with Tom too for devastating news. I love Tom's character. I think we've seen him grow. I know that the fandom is divided on if they love or hate Tom Parker. I love Tom Parker because I like who Mary has balanced him out to be. But
especially after season 2.
Yes, exactly. But I do think that devastating news for him sometimes can be more superficial than in terms of what we're thinking. So like for us, like if it was Charlotte receiving devastating news, it would be someone died. That would be my guess. For Tom, it's not going to be so cut and dry of what the devastating news is. It could be they don't want him to front run this financial investment. They want somebody else to be in charge of it. It could be something like that would be devastating to Tom. So I think they worded it that way intentionally because we know that Tom can be that sort of superficial and fickle about that stuff. And I think that maybe because it says, well, love blossoms elsewhere. So I think we might see something because this is episode 5. We're only given 8 or 6?
I'm sorry, what?
We have 6 or 8 episodes.
Just 6.
Okay, so this is the semifinale. So,
right.
Well, love blossoms elsewhere. That could be Georgiana, and that could be whatever Charlotte's going through with Colburn and that triangle. Arthur's heart could be broken because he realizes he can't ever truly be who he wants to be, or because he realizes what he thought he wanted wasn't actually who he wanted and he was manipulated again. And I would hate to kind of see that storyline play out again.
And it could be something like, he really wanted to build that theater. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't get to build it. I mean, it could be something like that.
It could be. I think they're going to give Arthur more substance this season, though, as it's the last, and he has become such a fan favorite. I think they're going to try to give him more substance somehow.
Well, we'll find out. Mm-hmm. And so episode 6 says, Charlotte desperately wants to tell Colburn the truth about her feelings, but a shocking revelation stops her in her tracks.
I don't like that sentence. I hate that sentence.
I know. It's like, what are you talking about? Come on. It's just, Anyway,
it doesn't. This is the last one. We don't have a season 4. This is a bummer synopsis for this entire. There's nothing about the synopsis that's good.
And this is season 6.
Episode 6.
Episode 6. So it's one more roadblock before that goes in their way. As long as it is, I can't even imagine what this could be. I have to tell you, I love that scene that they show in one of the previews of Leo and Alexander and Sam and Mrs. Wheatley all looking out the window. And she says, I'm never going to fall in love. It
seems like a beastly business.
Yes, exactly. And her Alexander says, well, if you can avoid it,
he says it is. I hope you avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. But anyway,
I did notice too that Leo is in a dress in every except for one. There is one where she's wearing suspenders, and that's what she says, on guard, to her uncle. But other than that, Leo is dressed, and that shows that she's more confident in who she is too, because wardrobe plays a huge role in that. And so we see her actually finding that mix between dressing and trousers and suspenders and in dresses and being comfortable in both. That says a lot about what happened while they were away too.
I also love that the way she runs up to Charlotte on the beach. Mm-hmm. And is so happy to see her. And the look on Augusta's face is, I don't know what. I guess it looks like she's wrestling with how, she really likes Charlotte, but Charlotte and Alexander, basically her father, aren't, they're apart, and what's going on. She's just a lot of questioning and concern about hurt. Mm-hmm. And anyway,
especially since Charlotte left. And then there's that scene in wherever, I don't know what this place is called because I don't think we're ever given a name for it, but it's the same scene where Charlotte and Georgiana have tea in season 2, where Arthur and Georgiana have tea in season 2. It's Leo runs up to her in there and says, Miss Haywood, Charlotte, you're still here. Does that mean you're here forever? And then they immediately show Colburn's stricken face. And so there's a couple of those scenes. There's one on the beach, and then there's one in that tea house.
The assembly rooms is what they call
Assembly rooms,
that.
yeah.
So the next
What-
sentence.
What do you think the shocking revelation could be?
I think it's got to be some secret about Colburn.
What if it's that Lucy's alive?
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that.
That would be a shocking revelation. I'm trying to think of what I would be most shocked to see the writers do.
Well, in this age and day and age, it could be anything can be shocking. I don't know. I mean, and why would it? Well, unless it's something about her family that's a shocking revelation.
Maybe her dad fell ill and she has to marry now.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because it can't possibly be where they end it. This is just the start of the episode, and Charlotte and Colborne will be together by the end of it.
I'm sure that will be the case.
I wonder how long that final episode is going to be, because this does not give a lot of hope for a 45-minute episode.
Well, some of them in season 2 and 3 were a little bit longer than 45 minutes. Not a lot, but a little bit longer.
Because the next sentence is also like, what now?
Having opened her heart, Georgiana's worst fears are realized when she discovers she has been abandoned.
That can't possibly be where her story ends either.
No, I have my original thought when I read that line was that she finds out that her mother really abandoned her. That she could have stayed in Aruba, where at that estate.
Yeah.
And she chose to leave and abandon Georgiana. That was my original thought when I read it.
It could be that, for sure. And I think that they know that we are going to be hyper analyzing all these descriptions. So they write these things in a way that are going to mislead us, because that was kind of what I thought. But then when you read having opened her heart, like, wait, is that what that
Oprah opened her heart to her mother, and maybe part of, that she's finding out her mother's not that trustworthy or something,
Because going off of the trailers, I kind of thought that there was something between her. At first, I thought something between her and Sam. And then there was an interview where Augusta said there's going to be surprising relationships, and that's all I'll say. I thought, well, does she fall in love with Ralph? So I'm trying to think of like all these relationships that Georgiana might have with somebody else. I've always kind of wanted Otis to come back, because I think that he's more redeemable than the other characters who did Georgiana wrong, more redeemable than Lockhart, because I think he truly came into it accidentally, going against her and fooling her. I don't think he meant to. But she came in holding that one guy's hand, and she seemed happy. But then there's another scene where in one of the trailers where she's seen with Sam, smiling at Sam. So I think they're keeping Georgiana in the most shrouded in mystery, because I think that we are sort of sold on the idea that we already know who Charlotte's going to end up with. So Georgiana's the one who they have to safeguard the most of what her story is going to end up with. Because we said 3 different plot points for Georgiana this season. We have no idea what direction any of them are going to take. She's the only one who we have. I suppose an Arthur. But Georgiana is the most mysterious character at this point, because they've introduced 3 very large problems for her coming up.
Right. And so as you were talking about that scene where that gentleman is bringing her into the ball, it may just be that he volunteered to do that because it's her birthday and the honor of presenting her, and that she doesn't really have any interest in him, or she's on guard against him just being after her money, which is entirely possible.
It's also possible, I think, that because you see that I wish I was looking for the article where it said all their names, and I couldn't find which one it was, because there's a lot of special features. But when they're in the carriage, when that family's in the carriage, and the mom is like, "Oh, it's not a bad town, is it?" And he says, "Oh, I found it."
And the sister says,
It's Lydia and
is
Henry. It's
charming.
Montrose's. The Montroses.
Montroses, yeah, that's it.
It's Lord Henry and Lydia.
Right, right.
And Lady Montrose is the mom. Yes. So they're saying that to him, and Henry is very clearly not interested. He's
He's
looks
like
a little angry to be there.
It's quaint,
Mhm.
you know.
And his mom gives like a disgusted look, like, oh, geez. So it could be that Georgiana is sort of more attached to him because he's not putting on any airs of fawning over anybody or of being like, oh, I really want to be next to you. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, I spotted you immediately. All the tropes that she has fallen for before. It could be that minimally a friendship with him that she struck up because he's a little more surly and open to, no, I don't want to be here. No, I don't like this.
It's possible he's the one who makes friends with Arthur.
That's true. Because he's one of the few. No, he is the only new male character, isn't he? Other than Sam.
Yeah.
I mean, young Rowley is obviously a new
Right.
male character, but he's significantly older.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the description of Rowley. It says a crusty investor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be fun to see the play. I can't wait to hear Annie's lines as
Yes.
Lady Denham. I'm sure they will be wonderful.
Part of me had a thought. I wonder if Edward sent him a letter and asked him to come. Just so he could
don't know.
Just so he could have respite from Lady Denham and do whatever he wanted.
I don't think so,
think he would
because
either.
he wasn't there when she told Esther the story about him.
And there's no way Lady Denham would have given them that information.
No.
Unless,
I think it's just coincidental.
Unless while in the house she was going through her things like he did in season 1 and found a letter, but he would have found that in season 1 then if that was the case.
No, I don't think I think it's just a case of he married for money. Now he has money. Now he wants to invest, Yeah.
And I think Edward just saw a situation that he could take advantage of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now that we've figured out the whole season.
With so many questions.
So I'm still of the opinion that Alexander Colburn has to
prove himself to you
in my favor.
I think he will. Because even the glimpses we get of him in the trailers and the photos, he doesn't look sure of himself at all. Where before I don't think he's ever been sure of himself, but he seemed more haughty in season 2.
And he doesn't seem as guarded.
No, he is. Even the expressions on his face seem way more in tune to his emotional depth than he did in season 2.
Right. Yeah,
and
I agree.
I think the fact that we can see how well Augusta and Leo are doing to the point where he's hanging out with Leo in his house, I think that alone is going to endear you to him as you watch that unfold.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Leo and the interaction with her uncle and, that whole thing too.
I have to say, I like how much Leo and Augusta were in the trailers.
Yes.
Because I feel like we didn't get enough of them in season 2. Like I wanted more of them. I really enjoyed their lines and their characters and how they intermingled with the characters like Charlotte and Colburn. So I'm glad to see they were heavily featured in the trailers. And
it's actually pretty predictable that they would be featured more, because when Justin Young was interviewed, he said, and they asked him, which characters would you like to continue with? And he said Leo and Augusta.
That's true.
So I think that's a hint that they would have bigger roles in season 3.
Especially since we know it's not continuing.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad that they're going to wrap up the story of Charlotte and the Parkers. Right. I hope that we see an end that we can live with, an end that is going to be certain, but we can still we can put our own pieces and add on to it, but that we have a certain end that is happy and is good for all the good people. And we see all the bad people get what they deserve.
A Justin and Jane Austen ending.
Yes, exactly. But I am kind of sad that we aren't continuing in a Sanditon adjacent series, because we talked about that a lot now this is the start of season 3 for Sanditon is coming up. This is the start of season 3 for the Sanditon Chronicles. And Sanditon Chronicles season 3 or 2, we talked about how there are some characters we could see continuing on without taking all the main people out, but continuing in the town. And I kind of want to, I'm not ready to leave this world yet. So I'm kind of sad that it's coming to that end. I can see why, but I still held out some hope that the side characters, or even bringing brand new characters in that have just happened to live there, would come to play. So I'm feeling bittersweet, especially since reading this description on episode 6.
Yeah, well, they purposely are doing that to us. You know that.
Yes.
And I'm sure Justin Young did not write these. Somebody else did.
I don't know, maybe he was like, haha, take this, Sanditon people. So maybe
no,
he
I
did.
I think Justin cares too much about us. I think they had somebody write it. Well, probably Masterpiece wrote it to keep you hanging on, as it were.
Now, I cannot stress enough that if you read the synopsis, and by the way, all the things we're talking about, you can find on pbs.org. If you go to Masterpiece, even if you just search in Google, Sanditon Masterpiece PBS, it'll bring you to Sanditon's page. There's a special features tab. You'll find all the videos, the articles. There's a gallery of pictures there. Everything you could want about season 3 that is official is right there on Masterpiece. So you can look up all this stuff. If you want to see some of the articles that Janice has brought up with Justin Young, all you have to do is just put in a search for that, or go to Justin Young. I know he was active on Twitter. I don't know how active he still is, but he was. So you can go to his page, and I'm sure he has links to the articles on there. Sanditon Sisterhood is also a group that is on Twitter and Instagram. They are very, very active all the time. They always have things that they're posting to get you more information on the seasons. They will probably have links to some of these articles as well. Now, we are coming back with one more episode. It'll be out the afternoon of the 19th. So you'll be able to catch one more episode before you dig in. And I don't know when it airs in England or in other countries.
I don't know if they've announced it yet.
But again, if you go to the Masterpiece website, in the Sanditon, those articles, it tells you how you can watch it. One of the ways is on PBS Masterpiece on Amazon Prime. You can watch it on Apple TV. There's some iTunes things. You can watch it on Google Play. So it doesn't have to be on TV. And I believe BritBox is going to put it out as well. I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
In England. I don't know if it'll be on BritBox here, but.
No. In England. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look into those opportunities and check out those articles in the special features to see how you can watch it.
I kind of think ITV comes out with it before BritBox. I think that's what the agreement was. So anyway, okay, well,
check this
out. To talk with you.
Yes, you too. I missed it. I'm glad we're getting back into it. And then we'll be every week. From after next week, every week we get to talk about an episode that's brand new.
Yes,
I'm excited about that.
Me too.
Really excited about that. All right, so until next week, we'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Are you craving more TSC content? Head on over to our social media accounts. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and our Facebook group, the Sanditon Chronicles Sanditon Family Fan Club. Also, check out our website, thesanditonchronicles.com. Of course, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to hear and what your thoughts are. Email us at the.sanditonchronicles@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tune in every week for new episodes.